안녕하세요 여러분. Welcome to the land of Korean cinema. Today's show has been on my radar for quite some time. I really wanted to watch it. Someone even requested it. So let's talk about the 2018 series, Prison Playbook, or 슬기로운 감방생활. The show stars about 50 million people. Let's see. Park Hae-soo, Jung Kyung-woo, Im Hwa-young, Crystal, Choi Myung-soo, Park Ho-san, Jung Woong-in. The list goes on and on. Park Hae-soo plays professional baseball player Kim Jae-hyuk, who is sent to prison after saving his sister from a guy who was about to rape her. During their altercation, he seriously injures the guy in self-defense. Unfortunately, the guy falls into a coma, so he has to go to prison for a year. This show took all my expectations and threw them out the window. I don't know about you, but I was expecting a sort of action thriller type of series, with thugs, with corrupt prison guards, with serious conflicts. You get the idea. And while there are definitely elements of that, it's only about 1% of the whole show. At first I didn't like that, but later I couldn't help but appreciate that Prison Playbook focuses a lot more on the human side of things. If you like movies and dramas about human relationships, this might be a great choice for you. If you look up the English Wikipedia page of Prison Playbook, it states that this show is a black comedy. No, it's not. A large portion of Prison Playbook is indeed a comedy, but a black comedy this is not. Just to be clear. So like I said, the show focuses a lot more on how people live together in prison, in a cell, and the strange symbiosis between inmates and prison guards. And that is absolutely the best part of the show. But again, if you're expecting something really tense and really exciting, you're at the wrong place. Prison Playbook is surprisingly quiet and lighthearted. Obviously, it doesn't glorify prison life, but it also doesn't want to magnify the dark side of being in prison, which was a breath of fresh air for me actually. And if you think that all of the inmates are heavyweight criminals, well, you're wrong. It was really good, and in a way, really sad, to see that quite a few inmates were actually innocent. They were framed mostly. And it made me wonder just how many people behind bars are actually innocent. I would guess that the number is a lot higher than I might actually think, which is pretty terrifying if you think about it. But I really appreciated that the show actually had something to say about this, showing that although we do need the law also isn't perfect, and people suffer because of that. I really liked the prison guards too. Again, all my expectations were out the window. Each and every one of them were so human. Okay, maybe with the exception of one. But everyone else was just a simple human being who happened to be a prison guard. You know what I mean? They weren't exercising their power, they weren't abusing it. In fact, they were there for the inmates as much as they could. Especially for those who were innocent, because they all knew who they were. So as I said, the show is about how people live their lives in prison, basically on a day-to-day basis. Once the main character settles in a cell around episode 3, we follow the lives of 5 or 6 inmates who are together with him. And slowly we get to know each and every character better and better, and it creates some fantastic scenes. Seriously, the show has incredible scenes sprinkled all throughout its runtime, and they all come from the characters interacting with each other. There are lots of heartwarming moments, funny moments, sad moments, but there's a certain bond between the characters that make this bitter prison life at least a tiny bit sweeter. And here I have to mention my 2 absolute favorite characters. One is Choi Myung-soo, who plays a lifer. He's the leader of the prison cell the main character finds himself in. And this character was just... He's someone who truly regrets what he had done 20 years ago, and he's an absolutely changed man when we meet him. He was such a loving, caring person, and later we get to know more about him, which deepens his character, makes him even more likable. Not to mention Choi Myung-soo's performance. If you've seen Mr. Sunshine, you saw him there too, but here he was even better. And he spoke the Busan dialect, if my hearing is correct, which is always fun to hear. My other favorite was Jung Woong-in, whom I saw in Empress Ki, where he played a villain. Here his character has a lot more dimensions to him. He's a prison guard. At first he seems to be a very strict person. And while he does have authority, he also has a huge heart. Not only was Jung Woong-in's performance absolutely incredible, it was great to see a character who's been a prison guard since God knows when, and yet hasn't lost his humanity. So for me, Prison Playbook shines when it embraces the drama aspects of this show, and honestly, it was these scenes and these characters, of which are fortunately many, that kept me watching this show because, honestly, I have quite a few problems with Prison Playbook. First off, it's way too long. 16 episodes, almost each episode clocks at 90 minutes, and it's absolutely unnecessary. There's a lot of filler, a lot of meandering, and it can be pretty boring. Also, I mentioned that a large part of the show is a comedy, and I really didn't like most of it. Even most of the conflicts are played for laughs, but very little of them actually work. Also, there are at least 2 characters who are given some pretty amazing backstories as the show went along. And just when those stories started to become super interesting, the writers just wrote them off the show, never to be seen again. It made me really mad. But these are all minuscule compared to the biggest flaw. Prison Playbook has a serious main character problem. Don't get me wrong, Park Hae-soo was absolutely incredible with what he had. It's just that his character is not a single bit interesting. He doesn't say much, which really doesn't help, and honestly, he's pretty dumb. Even his lawyer says it out loud once, who's played by Yoo Jae-myung, who's once again completely wasted, just like in Vincenzo. The best thing I can say about the main character is that he's a very, very decent man. He truly has a heart of gold. Other than that, there's just nothing to him. But the real problem with his character is that he doesn't have an arc at all. Throughout these 16 episodes, he doesn't learn anything, he doesn't grow in any way, shape or form. In the end, he's the same guy as he was in the beginning. I was expecting at least some challenges he has to face, but honestly, there are none. And I can almost hear you right now saying, but what about when this happened and that happened? Well, tell me, how does any of that affect him? Whatever the challenge or the problem may be, it gets resolved really quick. After a while, it was so predictable it took out any kind of intrigue from the show. The other problem is that despite the main character being as boring as it is, everybody seems to care about him a lot. Because he's a professional baseball player, and honestly, he has it really easy in prison. He definitely gets special treatment, and I don't like that at all, actually. My last problem with Prison Playbook is that it's not a plot-driven series. Dare I say, there is no real plot to be found here at all. It's just a depiction of everyday life in prison, and things are moving very slowly, if they move at all, and it can be tiring. It is tiring. So it was all the dramatic bits that saved the show for me, and thankfully there are lots of really cool scenes and characters here. None of them are the main ones, but there's a lot to appreciate here. If you like dramas that are focusing on characters rather than story, you'll have a blast with this one. I tend to like plot-driven movies and shows better, so a lot of times Prison Playbook was a hard watch for me. But I cannot deny the strong parts of the show either. I'm gonna give Prison Playbook 70%. I love the interactions between the characters, I love almost all of their moments together. Those are the heart and soul of the show for me, because honestly, I really didn't like anything else. I'm sure a lot of you loved this show, so please tell me in the comments, why did you love it? I'm really curious. 여러분, 오늘은 여기까지만 해요. 영상 봐주셔서 감사합니다. 이 영상 좋아하면 구독해주세요. See you very soon. 다음 시간에 만나요, 여러분. 안녕히 계세요. Bye!